So once again, welcome everyone to another segment of People Watch. And for this particular month, our topic is going to be anticipating the hybrid burnout. And I'm actually very excited to introduce our speaker this afternoon because I know that he has a lot of things to share to our viewers. So let's jump straight to the introduction of our resource speaker. Our speaker would have over 20 years of extensive global experience in shared services, human resources, business process outsourcing, and information technology, including a combined 18 years spent with IBM, Microsoft, and Accenture. Definitive experience in the areas of back office support, operations management, technical support, and customer service operations, vendor management and contracts, and business process engineering and project management. So it's currently connected with Baker and McKenzie's global services here in Manila. Some of his key responsibilities would, of course, be to oversee the Manila Center's facilities administration and business continuity, providing leadership and guidance and support to multiple functional operations, supporting the business of law in the areas of document services, practice group, and the industry group admin services, among others. I'm pretty sure that you're very excited to all of the things that is going to be sharing with us this afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the Director for Operations of Baker and McKenzie Global Services Manila, Mr. George Garcia. Good afternoon, George.
Hi, good afternoon, Lawrence, and thank you for inviting to this event. And good afternoon to the PMAP community viewing this session.
The pleasure is ours, George. Now, getting right off the bat, George, no, we as people managers know the importance of having a healthy and engaged workforce, and not only for individual but also for economic productivity. Our employees, and of course by extension our contribution to the economy. Now, being Baker and McKenzie, being a leading employer in the Philippines, we are keen to know about your insights to employee burnout in this new hybrid work setting.
Thank you, Lawrence, for that question. And if you will allow me, please, for those who are not familiar with Baker McKenzie, we are among the top three global corporate law firms with around 77 affiliate offices across multiple regions and countries. We are among the industry pioneers in establishing a shared services structure in support of the business of law. The Manila Center is one of four, and it is actually the largest and the first one, and with the other centers located in Belfast, Ireland, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and in Tampa, Florida. Now, to answer your question, Lawrence, hybrid work setting is fundamentally what we all refer to as new ways of working, and it is our initial gateway to what we envision to be the future of work. While we are yet to establish what this concept fully entails, our hybrid journey in Baker McKenzie mirrors what hundreds, thousands of companies are actually going through. Our plan is to empower employees to quickly and seamlessly transition to a dual mode of working on site and remotely. It is anchored on a calculated balance between regulatory compliance, employee well being, operational productivity, of course, quality of service, and the most important piece for the business is cost effectiveness. What we all have seen are some major and critical hurdles along the way when we speak of hybrid. Number one, of course, again, is the inflexible and volatile nature of government regulatory policies, which stymies our capacity to offer choices to our people. The concept of mandatory on-site work is no longer feasible. In an internal survey that we conducted in Baker McKenzie, 98% of our employees actually prefer hybrid or permanent work from home. This same survey also identified the lack of available, safe, and reliable public transportation as a key concern, followed by areas like rising inflation and fuel costs, and of course, health and safety concerns. In fact, the latter is further aggravated by the unpredictability of COVID itself, where emergent variants continue to pose as threats. However, and interestingly, our people are quick to point out that productivity did not suffer and even progressed in some sectors, while emphasizing the value of being able to manage work on their own, and the personal priorities that they need to address as critical factors. Overall, I must admit that as a business, the threat of heightened attrition, of losing our best people as a result of exactly that, employee burnout, is real. A hybrid work model is a living, breathing framework that should constantly adjust to the dynamics and circumstances of the business environment, introducing new and effective ways to mitigate business risks, leveraging on industry practices and technology inroads, and providing pivoting our strategies as the need arises.
Thank you for sharing, George. No, and I know that a good number of our viewers will be able to relate, to heightened attrition as a result of this particular push, from 100% work from home, and now we're trying to experiment hybrid work setups, and perhaps for some organizations, full RTO, full return to the office. So thank you for sharing those particular challenges. Now, you mentioned these challenges, George, and we would also be keen to understand, and I'm pretty sure, given these tough challenges, very difficult to overcome, would you be able to share with our viewers some of the initiatives naman, on the other end that you launched as a result of understanding these insights from within your organization?
Yes, Lawrence. I'd be happy to. And as I mentioned earlier, our strategy really operates in a fluid approach, and this approach is driven by business outcomes, employee health and safety, government regulations, and our own global firm practices. In fact, our other three centers, similar to Manila, are operating today on a 2-to-1 hybrid model, which is 2 days in the office, 2 days at home, and 1 day being optional depending on the business need. However, each location has its own set of unique challenges and none more demanding than in the Philippines. So we reintroduced on-site work within the concept of hybrid, and this necessitated really new ways of working on top of our health protocols, which all of you probably are doing in your respective organizations. We introduced things like a robust online seat reservation system where you can reserve ahead of time, your seat. And also we introduced a carpool community. Depending on the location of our people, and our demographics have shown that about 60% are actually living in NCR, 30% in Calabarzon, and around 10% in the northern part of Metro Manila. So it's really important for us to create these avenues for our people to feel more comfortable coming into the office. We also revised our work policies, and this is really critical, work policies and guidelines, which allows for more flexibility and agility. We also strengthened our communication channels. We have, in fact, focused a newsletter primarily on hybrid. And we have also conducted learning sessions to help our people navigate through all of these changes.
Mhm.
Sometime in May, we kicked off our return to office with a workshop for managers, and we called it "Leading in the New Possible." I think I did share a slide on that, Lawrence. If you'd
Yeah. I think we can
be able
pull up the slide that you shared, George, so that our viewers would be able to see some of these photos and references.
this workshop, and as you're pulling that, um, Lawrence, it's actually in collaboration with one of our key partners, which is People Ignite, led by JB Wong. And in this session, we encourage our leaders primarily to acknowledge, to accept, and embrace the disruption of moving to hybrid. That is really, really critical. We also conducted smaller group sessions on technology tools, on restructuring work practices, restructuring team norms, such as meetings where the value of engagement and collaboration are really key cornerstones. The thing is, attempting to force fit, what we used to do pre-pandemic into a hybrid model, that will never work. And as you could see there, right, we had about 200 of our managers showing up. It was the first face-to-face event that we actually conducted, and this was held in BGC, and we went into breakout sessions as well, where these tools that we wanted to incorporate into the practices that our people need to adopt as we go into hybrid, those sessions focused on these particular tools. By extension, we're now in the process of doing a similar workshop across all of our employees. As I said, it's not about force fitting. It's not going to work, really. You really
Mhm.
have to figure out the new way of doing things under hybrid. And I think the key here is being intentional in whatever we do, being purposeful. It's not about being mandatory, nor is it about compliance. Asking an employee to transfer from one desk to another doing exactly the same work does not make sense. It doesn't, right? And there has to be an underlying intent, one that is clear to the employee, and the value emanating from on-site engagement has to be clear that it is both concrete and purposeful at the same time.
Thank you for sharing, George. No, and these are all very exciting, no, and very comprehensive from the things that what you've shared with us. No, and what I'm getting here is that it's really a good balance, talaga, of technology and at the same time the heart. No, and making sure that you would really put the well-being, and the welfare of the employees, especially with the ever-evolving cases and issues that we're experiencing because we're still in the pandemic. So thank you for sharing these items, George. And getting 200 managers all in one event. No, I'm pretty sure people were very excited to finally see one another after perhaps a full 2 years of being just sitting in front of the computers, and doing all of the meetings, perhaps doing all of the town halls just virtually. So I'm pretty sure very pumped yung mga managers when you did that.
Oh yeah, yeah, they were very excited, but at the same time, and I'll be realistic about it. There was a certain percentage of managers who were hesitant, and who were really thinking of, okay, why do we need to go back to the office?
Mhm.
Okay. And so that's just why, as I mentioned earlier, you have to be intentional with it. You can't just tell them to come for the sake of coming. There has to be some value driven by being on site. And we all know that as people managers, engagement is really very, very important. But how do you create that engagement within the context of a hybrid environment and not force fitting it in the same way
Mhm.
that we did in the past?
That's right. Thank you for emphasizing, the intentionality. Very very critical, in especially for us leaders in trying to make decisions. Of course, not only making decisions out of a vacuum, but as what you've shown, you were able to gather data in your organization and be able to make decisions based on that. So thank you once again for sharing those things, George. Now, perhaps George, I know we still have a lot of things that we can cover, but given that we're restricted with 15 minutes, so perhaps this can be my last question. So George, and yung ating mga viewers, would you have any piece of advice for them, people managers, human resources practitioners, that are tuned into our show today? Perhaps something that they can immediately do or apply to their organizations in anticipation of this particular new type, of possible burnout for their employees.
Sure, sure, Lawrence. And I was watching the videos earlier at the beginning of the program, and I saw that for your conference, you're really looking at being transformative, and that's exactly what it is all about. The unpredictability of the COVID pandemic, government regulations constantly evolving and in many cases unclear, and the looming financial crisis. These are obstacles, and our collective capacity to realign structures and processes to fully optimize our business outcomes is really, really critical. So what we in Baker McKenzie Manila Center have learned is that a hybrid working model success really involves keeping everyone positive, that you have a transformative and forward thinking kind of mindset. The first step actually is to basically ask your people, surveys or focus group discussions, find out the specific details of the difficulties they're confronted with, then address them in the quickest possible way. Find out what makes them feel good as well about hybrid and strengthen these areas. What we all need to be is to be open to trying new things, to passionately engage and collaborate, and most importantly, keeping it intentional and purposeful. We need to embrace the disruption as a springboard towards reinventing the way we work. We need to dwell on what is possible and find opportunities in it and seek to create the future of work. And in the process, of course, as people managers, let's not forget to celebrate positive outcomes,
Mhm.
no matter how small they may be. So there you go, Lawrence.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, George. No, very, very actionable. And I'm pretty sure baka immediately after our segment today, our viewers might be taking notes and perhaps they will be calling on meetings, no? Intentionality. That might be one of the things. No? Perhaps that's going to be my key takeaway. Technology, putting the heart, being able to gather data, and then being intentional in the actions, as a response to the ever changing situation that we're facing on a day-to-day basis. So once again, thank you so much, George, for joining us this afternoon. And hopefully we can invite you, for more conversations. This is not going to be the last, that we can collaborate with Baker McKenzie Global Services Manila.
Of course, Lawrence, and thank you for bringing me here. And I look forward to future engagements as well. And good afternoon to all the viewers and members of PMAP. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, George. And with that, we now end this particular segment. Once again, this segment, the first for our show this afternoon, is People Watch on the topic anticipating the hybrid workout. And we had our resource speaker, Mr. George Garcia from Baker and McKenzie Global Services Manila. Now I turn back the virtual floor to our EIC, Mr. Jov Batita.